Welcome to the Dad Show podcast. How y'all doing? Today is part 2.
I thought providing was my number one thing. I had to be the provider. I had to hustle and provide, and I did. You know, like I pat myself on the back, man. I worked hard. I worked all the time. We were doing well financially, but it turns out that wasn't what mattered most to Rachel. She couldn't care less. And the thing is, Rachel was the most like, she did not need things. She did not care for things, right? She just needed love, and she needed family, and she was not superficial at all. She just didn't need things. And I don't know why I thought that I needed to get her all the things and the nicer car and the nicer house and all the stuff. And she called me out on that a few times, that I needed to be more present, and that being gone all the time wasn't acceptable, and that's not what she signed up for. And, never to the point of I'm going to leave you. That was not a threat. It wasn't an ultimatum or anything like that. But, I sucked, man. I mean, I'll be honest. I just wasn't there. And when I was there, I wasn't there. And, found my pleasures elsewhere. Like, I was killing it. I was on the stages. I was doing, I was a hero to so many people, but I was nothing at home, and I got caught in this trap, until one day Rachel decided that she wasn't going to have it anymore. And, pretty much did give me an ultimatum. Hey, we're going to come with you wherever you go. You can keep going. I'm not telling you can't go. You can keep going, but we're going to go with you. And then, as we talked about the other day, we packed up our family of 5 and moved into a 40-foot motorhome and hit the road, man.
That's so awesome. Everybody talks about doing that. Let's just sell the house. Let's do whatever and just go be together. And COVID had a lot to help with that, on teaching everybody, to stay together. Home. But yeah, man, that was that's huge in my aspect, because I'm the kind of the same way. Like, I want to grind. Like, I just want to keep going. Like, I feel like the more money that I make, the happier that my family will be, the happier that my kids will be, and life will just be so much easier, when it's almost the exact opposite of that, like, I
tell you, dude,
people put so much emphasis on money, and it's needed, like, 100%, but man, like, so from my aspect, and you can relate as well, I try to tell people, if you have healthy kids, like, if you're not dealing with something of that nature, you are so blessed.
Good, man.
You are so blessed, because I would lose everything and be homeless if I didn't have to worry about any medical stuff with my kids. Just to be able to be present with them, and like, yes, we have a great life. We enjoy, we make the best of everything that we're going through. And even whenever we go for a surgery or, checkups or anything, we travel to these centers of excellence, whether it be Cincinnati or Minnesota, and we make the best of these trips.
Sure.
But I would trade all of that, to not hear my kids be like, Daddy, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want a shot. I don't want to go through this surgery. And like we discussed off camera, like, my daughter, whenever a surgery comes up and she knows it's coming up, she's so strong up until about 3 or 4 days before the surgery. And then she stops eating. Then, like, she acts completely different, stops sleeping. Like, she has such PTSD from the medical journey. And man, that's what matters. Like, being present with your family, and and the world does it to us. Like, everything, social media makes it worse. The worldly aspect, like, you need this next shiny thing. You need all this money. Like, you need to keep going. And man, like, look at what you are blessed with.
Dude, I agree. And I'm going to flip it back on you. I'm going to be host for a second. Okay. I have a question for you. So for me, it's like, I can't even fathom being a dad and not being able to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, I know, even being a husband, I couldn't fix Rachel. I couldn't make her better. Like, I'm a fixer. Yes. I want to fix it. And I can't even fathom being in your situation and not being able to fix this. Not being able to tell your kid it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Not being like, how do you even communicate that? How do you walk through life knowing, like, it's not up to you. You can't do anything to make it better.
It's hard. And this podcast isn't about me. It's about, but it's hard, 100%. But everybody's going to have a hard, no matter what it is, whether it's the loss of a wife, whether it's getting up at 2:00 in the morning and go pee and you stub your toe on the side of the bed. Everybody is going to have a hard. And it was so hard that my wife and I just turned to God 100%. We were Christians. We got baptized early on in life and knew God, but we wasn't living for God at all. And even God was building us up for that. And this is a question I've got for you as well. But prior to us having Kennedy, prior to her diagnosis, God was building us up, putting us in a church, going to Bible studies, starting to do the correct things. Yeah. And so I was like a newborn baby deer trying to walk in this new walk with God. And I got close to a guy at work. And when Kennedy was diagnosed, I was really trying to just cling close to God. Yeah. And he's like, Ryan, I know you're trying to do the right thing. I know you're trying to do all that you need to, but there's going to come a day and a time that you're not going to be able to pray. You're not going to be able to think of a prayer, but just know that God understands your tears. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. Like 100%. No matter how hard I'm crying, I can always think of a prayer in my head. I can, I can think of anything. And man, it hit me. One day I was home by myself and I was weeping so hard that all I could do was hit my knees and throw my hands up to God. And man, I tell you, and I get chills right now thinking about it. When I threw my hands up to God, he literally reached down and picked that weight off of me. Yeah. And I was able to stand up, clear my head, and continue going like nothing had ever happened. But when I stood up, I continued to throw my hands up to God. But I didn't do it in this aspect. I did it in this aspect. And I said, God, take her. She is yours first. I'm just her earthly father. Amen. I cannot do this, but you can. Yeah. Whether you heal her here on earth or you heal her in heaven with you, I cannot do this. And wow. And so when you ask the question, how did I manage it and go through it? That's how you gave it to him. I gave it to him. Yeah, man. 100%. And Allie says that I was her rock. My wife says that I was her rock through the whole thing, and that anytime she got down, but man, we were both God just created us both. Like whenever I'd get down, she'd be my rock. But that was how I was able to do that and I'd done the same thing with Lincoln from whenever Lincoln was diagnosed. I gave him to God as well. And I know it sounds cliche, it sounds silly, but literally taking the motion and handing it to God, man, it was so powerful. And so anybody that calls and asks me like, what do I do in this situation, man? How do I manage this? Whatever medical diagnosis, I'm like, hand it to God. And it sounds silly. Take your hands and make that motion. So man, that's appreciate you asking that question. Well, thank you for sharing that. No, I think thank you.
In a similar place, with Rachel not being able to fix it. I remember a friend of mine telling me, this surprised you and it surprised her family and it surprised all her friends. It didn't surprise our Father. Yeah, None of this is a surprise to him. Yeah. He's got this. Yes. And you can't fix it. And it's okay to let that go, because this is not a surprise. And none of this that's happening around us is a surprise to him. And that was nice for me to hear. I needed to hear yeah, man, this wasn't part of my plan. Yes. But it was his. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't like, oops, I forgot that page. Exactly, right. And that anything that happens now, it's like, that's part of it, man. Yes. 100%. So spoiler alert, Rachel was diagnosed with cancer. And you went through the medical journey with her. Do you feel there was any time, just like I expressed, God building us up, sending us, getting us in church, was there a time now that you can look back through everything and see, yes, God, you were building me up at that point in time? Yeah, man. 100 thousands of times. But man, living in the RV alone was a big. So before Rachel got diagnosed, about a year after we finished our RV journey, we did the year in the RV.
Okay.
Which taught me presence. It taught me perspective. It taught me how to be a better dad, a better husband, a better human. Because it was the five of you doing life together in 40 feet. There was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to hide. And you clung to each other physically, emotionally. Like, we had a couple times where we had tornadoes coming through and we were in this RV, and like, you're literally clinging to one another. and God, again, it wasn't a surprise to him what was the next season was about to look like.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so I went from this completely absent human, to anyone that really mattered, to just showing up and learning through this 40 feet of living how to be better, and having my kids be able to call me out and my wife be able to call me out, and just learning to walk in just full presence. Right. And so, little did I know how bad I would need that come the next season when Rachel got sick and for 2 years we battled, and then she ended up passing away. But I am so grateful to be able to have just had that year of just us.
Yeah.
Because we don't get that. We're distracted by all the things. And I had a year of undistraction, really is what it came down to. And it taught me just so much about what mattered and how to live in presence. Yeah.
And that's part of, I know from our journey, being in the hospital together, like it's almost the same aspect. You're in this 15 by 15 room, and you don't have a choice but to be present with each other and be there. And, whenever you're at that point in your life, whenever you're in the hospital, like, with our kids, we were told there's only a 60% chance that they'll make it through transplant. So, that was always kind of ticking in the back of our head. And I'm sure with a cancer diagnosis, it's not at the forefront, but that's kind of just a back thought, if you will, say that. But, we were just like, we're going to spend this time together, and we're going to be present with each other. And still, even though I still caught myself being on my phone, being, watching the TV, I still felt myself being distracted.
Yeah.
And my daughter is laying there with, almost lifeless because of the chemo and everything else that she had to go through at a year old. Like, man, like I want to knock myself out sometimes. Like, don't be stupid. Like, be present, literally. Quit being so selfish that you want to get on social media, or that you want to, and the devil, I say it's me. The devil is so good at deceiving.
Sure.
And, he's not going to show up in a big black shadow with red horns and a big pitchfork. Like, he shows up in the smallest ways and then just continues to drag us away and get us distracted. And man, that's so huge of just being present and spending that quality time together. So I recommend everybody go on an RV trip.
Yeah, hey man, listen. The problem is it's not realistic for everybody, and that's the thing. It's like, man, it's kind of unrealistic what we did, I was that bad. I needed that, right? But one of Rachel's things I love so much that she would say, I hated when she said it to me, but I love it now, was, I need you here with your whole face. I need you to listen with your whole face, because we're so here.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And the kids need to see your eyes. They need to see your whole face. Yeah. I need to see your whole face. And so now that's something I've kind of taken with me. Listen with your whole face.
Yes.
Because we are a culture that's down, man. I mean, you walk into Starbucks and everybody's down. You look, I was in an airport the other day and everybody's down. Like, nobody is looking up. Nobody's listening with their whole face. And
that's one thing I try to do. Like, when I go into a restaurant, and it's kind of funny to me in a way, like when I go to a restaurant and I'm waiting on to-go order or something like that, and you're in the little area that's, everybody's waiting for to go, and everybody is right here in their phone, and I just kind of I laugh at it.
Yeah.
I keep mine in my pocket, and I'm just like people.
And you're the
watching.
weird one.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the weird guy? That's not
What is
looking
his
at his
phone
phone.
dead,
Yeah,
or did he leave
exactly.
in
His
his
phone
car?
must be dead. That's right. That's exactly right. So again, I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard to not be distracted.
It is.
You know.
I agree.
But you know, especially with our children, man, they are watching every single thing we do, good, bad, and ugly, and they're gonna repeat our language. They're gonna repeat our actions. They're gonna repeat everything that we do.
Yeah.
And they want to dress like us, look like us, act like us, talk like us, and we are the example they see the most.
Exactly.
And we get to decide what we want that to look like. And you know, I can't blame my kids if they want to be on theirs if I'm on mine all the time. I can't blame it's just. We have a big role as being a dad or a mom, and I just pray every day that I can show up and not suck too bad that day, because we're gonna fail, we're gonna stumble, but I want my kids to look back and be like, man, Dad was here.
But that's the joy of being a parent too. And even a husband or a wife, like, you're going to fail.
Oh, for sure, man.
The joy is learning from that,
dude.
And changing it and
the
trying
thing
to be
is,
better.
man, kids give so much grace.
Yes.
Dude, kids they're the most forgiving, and and I'm finding myself often just saying, man, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't show up. I'm sorry I didn't pay attention. I'm sorry, whatever those, and they are so quick to forgive and on to the next thing and on to the next thing. But also we need to make sure we are showing up and apologizing and showing gratitude and doing these things that we want our kids to do as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When y'all were in the hospital and, Rachel was obviously going through her stuff, but your kids were there.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Because I was able to be mostly present with until Lincoln's diagnosis, and I had to kind of be torn between the two. But how did you feel as far as taking care of Rachel and, but also needing to be the parent, like, that.
Man, that's a great question. So we spent the last 39 nights of Rachel's life in the hospital. So we checked in not knowing we were checking in for good. So the cancer, she started out with breast cancer. She had beat it about 6 months later. It came back in her spine. She had a backache one night. Told me it was back. I said, I said, we are old. My back hurts too. That's not what it is. And it sure enough was, and it spread into her back and then eventually spread into her brain. Christmas Eve, 2019. We were at the mall. We always go see Santa on Christmas Eve, which I don't quite understand, but that's a tradition that my sister and Rachel put into place with all the kids. And Rachel passed out at the mall that night, and we went, so an ambulance came, took her to the hospital, Christmas Eve night. And that's when we had found out that it had spread into her brain. Oh. And at that point, it's not going to be good. Yeah. And I remember the doctor coming in and they gave her they did some blood work and ended up giving her some blood so she could stay on her feet. And I remember the doctor coming in and saying, hey, we don't really need to talk about this today. Y'all need to be where you need to be. You need to get home. Knowing this was going to be our last Christmas. Yeah. And I remember.
Had you been told that?
No,
or
this was the first time it kind of became a reality. We knew it was in her spine. We knew it wasn't good.
Yeah.
This was the time, like, I knew this was it. Yeah. Like, we had one more Christmas. And watching her, I remember that Christmas morning, watching her watch the kids. That's all I did. I just watched her watch the kids. And with so much joy, so much happiness, so much love. But I don't remember anything the kids got that year. I don't remember putting the stuff together. I just remember watching her watch them and knowing that was it. Yeah. And then I think it was January 17th. She had a seizure. She was getting radiation of her brain, and she had a seizure. So we ended up in the hospital, and then she seized all that night. And I'd never seen a seizure before. Yeah. And to see this on your wife, and you're like, I don't even know what to do with this. Yeah. Like, are we dying? Like, what is, and she kept coming in and out of it and in and out of it. And we said bye that night because we thought we were going to lose her. Everybody flew in. She made it through that night. Had seizures again all the next day. Had one that lasted way too long. And I remember the doctor saying, hey, I can make these stop, but she may not come back. And having to make that decision, and I'm seeking counsel from those I love. And I mean, the seizure had gone on for like 20 minutes, and he's like, I can make this stop, but if she does come back, she's not going to be the same. But I mean, we just wanted to stop.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't want to see her.
Didn't want to see her, and so he did, and he shot her up with whatever he shot her up with, and hours and hours and hours, like we weren't sure, what this was going to look like. Everybody was in there praying over her and just loving on her and saying bye. And man, in true Rachel fashion, dude, like, I mean, a few hours after she got this shot, she just pops up and says, man, I got to pee. We're like, what in the heck? We're all looking around like, we did not think you were ever going to come back.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she lives another 38 days, and like, and
tell me God doesn't have a sense
of
humor, man.
I mean, bro, like we are all like, what in the heck just happened? Like everyone's crying. Everyone's like, dude, she's dead. Like she's not pops up and I got to go pee. And she did. And the Lord wasn't ready for her yet because she still had work to do here, even in the hospital. And so for 39 nights, 38 days, people came and visited from all over the country. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of visitors came to say bye and to just grieve. But it was so cool. I had this front row seat to watching Rachel minister to people.
Wow.
They'd come in, people that were atheists came to know Jesus, people that hadn't had a relationship with him in years became closer to him. Everybody that walked in that room became ministered to. It became this incredible like sanctuary. Room 444 became this sanctuary where Rachel would say, she's like, I know I'm dying. All I have left to give is Jesus.
Wow.
So that's what I'm going to do. And, that's no different than me and you. We're dying too.
Exactly.
Just not maybe as quick. And that's what we should be given. And to watch her selflessly give, everyone left that room better, knowing Jesus more. Because Rachel's biggest fear, she had two fears in dying, is that we wouldn't be okay without her and that people would turn from Jesus because she didn't get healed.
Wow.
And neither of those have happened. We've had hard days, but we're okay. We're doing it, right?
Yes,
And her story continues to lead people to him.